Today, we will start the 7th episode on Surah Al-Anaam. Say, He is able to send upon you a punishment from above you or from beneath your feet, or to divide you into factions and make some of you taste the violence of others. See how we explain the signs so that they may understand. The truth is, when we come to talk about this verse, it is said that when this verse was revealed, the Prophet Muhammad was very distressed and prayed to God not to send upon his nation any punishment from above them or from beneath their feet, not to let them become factions or anything fight each other, because make some of you taste the violence of others means he would make you fight one another. O Lord, spare my nation from these 4 things. No punishment from above, nor from beneath their feet. Nor should they become factions, nor should they kill one another. The important thing is, Gabriel came down to the Prophet Muhammad and said to him, O Muhammad, Allah has heard your prayer and will protect your nation, or withhold from your nation, punishment from above them and from beneath their feet, but he will not prevent them from becoming factions or from fighting each other. So the Prophet said to him, O Gabriel, if Allah does not prevent my nation from factionalism and fighting, then the nation of Islam will not remain at all. They will finish each other off. And he prayed to Allah to prevent factionalism and fighting among his nation. So, what happened when he prayed to Allah the second time? Because there was a debate, Gabriel came down and told him, no, 2 will remain, 2 will be left. So he prayed to his Lord again, saying, O Lord, remove the remaining 2, which are factionalism and fighting. Then the verse was revealed. I'll show it to you. So, you could say it was a kind of negotiation. Then this verse was revealed. Alif Lam Mim. I'll show it to you. Am I with you, or am I just halfway? Okay. Alif Lam Mim. Do people think they will be left to say, we believe, without being tested? Al-Ankabut, verse 2. Honestly, I don't know the mechanism of how the verses were revealed. Even you yourself say that when verse 65 of Al-Anaam was revealed, and this conversation happened between God, Gabriel and Muhammad. In that, God, the Prophet Muhammad, is praying to God to prevent the 4 punishments. So God told him, no, we'll prevent 2 and leave 2. We'll prevent the punishment from above and from below. And, well, we'll leave the division in the fighting. Okay. So then a verse is revealed. When this one comes down, that one comes down too. And then Al-Ankabut, verse 2, is revealed. So if it was revealed in the same context, at the same time, and in the same place, and during the same event, for the very same conversation that happened between the 3, then why does it go to Al-Ankabut, verse 2? I just don't get it. I mean, when the Arabs compiled the Quran, what did they base it on? Sasa. They assigned numbers to the verses and placed these verses under these headings. Al-Anaam is here and Al-Ankabut is there. This is 60 in Al-Baqarah, and that's 83 in Al-Imran. How does that work? I just don't get it. A verse like this, in a situation like that, should have been in Al-Anaam. At least, that's how I understand it. Anyway, the important thing is, let's get back to the meaning. The meaning here is that he is telling him, O Muhammad, that God is able to send down a punishment upon your people, from above them or from beneath their feet. Pay attention, from above them, like stones, floods, or wind. Just like he did with whom? With Ad, the mud, and Lot, exactly. Or from beneath their feet, like the earth swallowing them up, as he did with Karen. Exactly. So, the important thing is, what does that mean? And of course, there are people who say, no, 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 it's not from above. It's not stones or floods or wind. From above here means that tyrannical rulers will rule over you, according to Majma al-Bayan in the interpretation of the Quran by Al-Tabrasi. Now, let me give you the real scoop about what? The pronouns in the verse. we have 3 types of pronouns. Here, there's the third person pronoun, which refers to an unknown subject, talking about God 4 times. What does it say? It says, He sends, He covers you, and He makes you taste. Here, let me show them to you in red, right here. Here it is, He, right here. He sends, He covers you, and He makes you taste. So, this is talking about God using the third person pronoun. All right, then. Very good. Now, let's go back to the second person pronoun, which is what? Which is. Look, God is telling the Prophet Muhammad, look, that's this one here. You see, what kind of pronoun is that? That's a second person pronoun right here. And then God goes back to speaking about himself using the first person pronoun. You see, the phrase we direct here means we, as in God. We direct the verses, just like when you say, for example, we eat, we drink, we read. In verse 66, it says, and your people have denied it, meaning the Quran, while it is the truth. Say, I am not a guardian over you. Very good. The meaning of this verse is that Quraysh denied the Quran, even though it is the truth. Say to them, O Muhammad, that you are not responsible for them. Me. I stopped. I didn't give you the text. I'm sorry. Here it is. And that. Say to them, O Muhammad, that you are not responsible for them. Yeah. And you are not responsible for what? For their faith. Very good point. So up to this moment, we are proceeding with the idea that you are not responsible for their faith. But after that, he will become responsible. The ones who don't believe, the Prophet Muhammad will deal with them. But keep that in mind. Look, what is God telling him? Keep this in mind, because this is a very important point, the one I highlighted in red. Say, I am not a guardian over you. I am not responsible for your faith, O disbelievers of Quraysh. Very good point. So here, who is actually expressing this meaning? It's the interpretation of the Quran by Al-Zabadi. Pay attention to the fact that the speech here uses the second person pronoun. He is telling him, your people, O Muhammad, yes, and your people have denied it, O Muhammad. So the speech here is in the second person, from God directly to the Prophet. For every news there is a settled outcome, and you will know. That's it. What does the meaning here imply? Let's move quickly now. Here, the meaning is that this verse is a warning to the disbelievers of punishment. Why? Because they do not acknowledge resurrection in the hereafter. And some people said that it is a warning about what will befall them. Not in the hereafter. No, in this world itself. The speech is from God directly to the polytheists. Pay attention here. Why? Because he is telling them, and you will know. And when you see those who engage in idle talk about our verses, turn away from them until they engage in a different conversation. And if Satan causes you to forget, then do not sit after the reminder with the wrongdoing people. Pay attention here, because now we're going to pause a bit and talk briefly about a very important point, a point that many people overlook. All right. I'm not sure whether I should go back to the text for you or just stay here with you. But anyway, here's the text, and I'm explaining so you can pay attention. All right, the meaning here, my friend, is that God is telling the prophet, if you see the polytheists, and some people say it means the Jews, so either the polytheists or the Jews. If you see the polytheists or the Jews, it's the same, man, all right, denying the verses of the Quran and mocking its verses. Leave their gathering immediately. Don't sit with them. These are people mocking your religion, your Quran, pay attention, and your God. How can you sit with them? Wait until they change the subject, until they talk about something else. Sit with them, and he says to you, if Satan makes you forget, if you forget. Meaning, if Satan makes you forget and you end up sitting with them, don't stay with them. The moment you remember, get up right away. The moment you remember, even if you forgot and sat with them, even if you were alone. Suppose you forgot and sat with them, once you remember your Lord's commands, you should immediately get up and leave their gathering right away. The source for this is right here. The source is Zad al-Mazir fi ilm al-Tafsir by Ibn al-Jawzi. That was the meaning, and that was the source as well. Pay attention to the pronouns, everyone. Here, the address is from God to the Prophet Muhammad. The point I want to focus on is that wa'ama here means if. And if Satan makes you forget. So this means that it is possible for the Prophet, it is possible, according to God, that the Prophet Muhammad could forget the divine commands mentioned in the Quranic verses because of Satan. Satan can make you forget God's commands that are mentioned in the Quran. He is telling him, if you forget and you sit there, as soon as you remember, the word digradir means to remember, as soon as you remember the verse in your Lord's commands, get up immediately. 69. And those who are mindful of God are not accountable for them in any way, but it is a reminder so that they may be mindful. So what's the issue here? When the previous verse, which is verse 68, was revealed, and when you see those who are engaging in idle talk about our verses, don't sit with them and all that. And if you forget, get up immediately as soon as you remember. The Muslims said, how can we sit in the sacred mosque and perform tawaf around the Kaaba while the Jews or the polytheists are sitting there speaking irreverently about God's verses? We're afraid we'll bear a sin or guilt if we don't stop them. Then verse 69 was revealed, and those who are mindful of God are not accountable. What does that mean? It means, O believers, you have nothing to do with those who mock God's verses. You see, you won't bear any sin or guilt. Just leave them alone. But you can advise them so they stay away from mocking the Quran. But don't get into fights with them. Don't fight them. Don't cause trouble. That's the meaning of the verse, the full meaning. Who's here? Everyone. The source. The source here, who is it? Ma'alam al-Tanzil by al-Bagawi. All right, now pay attention. The statement here is, those who are mindful of God are not accountable. So who is this talking about? It's for the Muslims, not the Prophet. See, it's in the plural form. Those who are mindful of God are not accountable. But in verse 28, who is the address directed to? To the Prophet. All right, verse 28. You see, O Muhammad, so turn away. O Muhammad, they might make you forget. O Muhammad. All right, all of it is in the singular form, meaning, all right, here, it's in the plural, those who are mindful of God. So sometimes the address is to the Prophet, and sometimes to whom? To the believers. And leave those who have taken their religion as play and amusement, and whom the worldly life has deceived. And remind with it, lest the soul be given up for what it has earned. It will have no protector or intercessor besides God. And even if it offers every compensation, it will not be accepted from it. Those are the ones who are given up for what they have earned. For them is a drink of scalding water and a painful punishment for what they used to disbelieve. All right, here, my brothers. I'm sorry. Verse 70 means that this is a command from God to the Prophet to turn away from the polytheists. Why should he turn away from the polytheists? Because they used to play around while listening to the Quran, making noise, and not paying any attention. You know, they were deceived by this worldly life. He was commanded to give them gentle advice so that they wouldn't end up in the fire. The source that mentioned this meaning is Lubab al-Tawil Faimani al-Tanzil by al-Khazin. Notice here that the pronoun or the address is directed using the second person pronoun, you. And wadhar here means leave or turn away from. Got it. And here, the words are from God to the prophet, using the second person pronoun. Very nice. Let's move on. I don't really have any questions here or anything. All right. 71. Say, shall we call upon, besides Allah, that which can neither benefit us nor harm us, and turn back on our heels after Allah has guided us, like someone whom the devils have lured away in the land? Confused, he has companions calling in the guidance, saying, come to us. Say, indeed, the guidance of Allah is the true guidance, and we have been commanded to submit to the Lord of the worlds. This is very good. Now, brothers, what is the reason for the revelation of verse 71? Look at the polytheists. Pay attention. Notice how revelation reasons used to be, or rather, how verses were revealed. Polytheists told believers following Prophet Muhammad, don't follow Muhammad, follow us instead. So the verse was revealed simply because of this. Those who claim it was written in the preserved tablet and that the Quran is as ancient as God, no, not at all. It was just polytheists or Jews telling believers, companions of Prophet Muhammad, leave Muhammad and stay with us. So the verse was revealed, just like that, simply. By the way, I'll tell you the source right now. It's not just me saying this, so the matter was really very simple. It's not that the Quran is as ancient as God or anything like that. The Quran is recent, and it's a product of its time, its place, its environment, its language, and its civilization, just like you see here. You get it? Okay, good. What does this mean? That was the reason for the revelation. Follow us and forget about the Prophet Muhammad. That's how it was revealed, just that simply, in plain rural language. All right. What's the meaning? The meaning here is that God is telling the Prophet Muhammad, O Muhammad, say to the polytheists, are we going to worship something that can't benefit or harm us? Worshipping, instead of God, things that neither help nor hurt us? And go back to polytheism after God saved us from disbelief, just like those who were led astray by devils and their desires were made attractive to them. Belief in God is the right thing, and we will submit ourselves to God. Is this the verse, the issue? All right. Who is the source here that's mentioning this reason for revelation and this meaning? I'll weighs it in the interpretation of the Quran by Sheikh Muhammad Sayyid Tantawi. And I said, establish prayer and fear him. This is what I was talking about. And I forgot to show you the text. Fear him, meaning, it means God. Here, I'll highlight it for you in a different color. All right. And it means God. All right. Here it is. And it means God. To him, meaning God. So here you have three pronouns in three words. God. So what am I suggesting here? If I look, guys, I'm talking to the language people here, not about religion, not about anything sacred. Just use your conscience. If we remove these words and say, and establish prayer and fear him, and to him you will be gathered, without he is the one who, what flaw would occur in the verse? But just tell me, are you noticing this? Three third-person pronouns referring to God in three words. Honestly, this really caught my attention, and I was like, what is this? This is exactly what I wanted you to think about. If we read the verse without it, just and fear him, into him you will be gathered, without he is the one who. What flaw would happen in the verse? Honestly, I don't know. Let's take the last verse so we don't take too long. He is the one who created the heavens and the earth in truth. And on the day he says, be, and it is, his word is the truth. And his is the dominion on the day the trumpet is blown. He is the knower of the unseen and the seen, and he is the wise, the all-aware. What's the point here? What's the point here, sir? Simply, the meaning is that God created the heavens and the earth with truth. All right, fine. So what does in truth mean? It means he created them correctly, not by mistake. You get what I mean? And of course, some people say in truth means that God's word is the truth. Not that he created the heavens and the earth in truth. But anyway, that's it. And I'll tell you the source now. Okay. So why did they cite this verse? With the phrase, his word is the truth, this means that what is meant is his true word about his creation of the heavens and the earth. Anyway, the rest of the meaning says that he will say to something be, and it will be. And to him belongs the dominion. Yes, all dominion will be as on the day of judgment, and the trumpet, that is, the horn or the bugle, will be blown. Yes, meaning God will blow into it. And some people said, no, God will not blow into it. It is Israel who will blow into it, by God's command. So, what does it mean? God created heavens and earth in truth, not by chance. He is the one who blows the trumpet on Judgment Day. Some people said, no, it's Israel who blows the trumpet, or horn, on Judgment Day. Source, Jamie Albayan Fi Tafsir Al-Quran Al-Tabari. Alright, folks, here too, he's talking about God using the third-person pronoun. He says, and it's correct, he is the one who created. Pay attention to the pronouns, everyone. He created again. He is the one who created the earth and the heavens. And on the day, he says refers to God. All of this be, and it is. His word is the truth, and to him belongs the dominion. The day of what? The day of judgment, and to him belongs the dominion on the day the trumpet is blown. Notice this as well. We'll talk about it, because it's in the passive voice even though the one blowing the trumpet is known, and that's God who blows into the trumpet, the knower of the unseen and the seen, and he is the wise, the subtle. See how many times he refers to God using the third-person pronoun. So here, honestly, we really should know who's speaking about God in all these pronouns, using the third person like this. Alright, the second point. Here, he says, he created the heavens and the earth in truth. But if we apply the concept of contrast here, does that mean there's a creation of the heavens and the earth in falsehood? He says, and on the day he says, be, and it is. He says, to which verse here? This part right here. And on the day he says, these few words together like that. Or let's highlight them in a different color. And on the day he says, what would I have expected here, for example? And on the day he says, right here, like this. And on the day he says to the universe, be, and it is. And on the day he says to the human, be, and it is. And on the day he says, to anything, really, to creation, be, and it is. But he says, and on the day he says to what? Be, and it is. To whom is he saying it? Be, and it is. That was actually my question as well. All right. And then here, let me just put everything back the way it was. Then he goes back and says what? First, it says here, he created the heavens and the earth. We believe in God. Honestly, I don't really know how to distinguish it. Underline that. All right. So creating the heavens and the earth means that they belong to him. The heavens and the earth belong to God as long as he is the one who created them. And then at the end, it goes back and says, and to him belongs the dominion. Well, as long as he is the one who created the heavens and the earth, of course the dominion belongs to him. So then, who else would the dominion belong to? What does that even mean? That's what I want to know. If you have a child, you say, my son, my son, no one can take him from me, right? I mean, you're the one who fathered him. So, Lord, you are the one who created the heavens and the earth. So, isn't to him belongs the dominion just repeating the same thing? Well, if it's not repetition, then what does it mean? What's the wisdom behind it? So what's the difference between he created the heavens and the earth and to him belongs the dominion? Can someone tell us what the difference is between the two? That was a question, actually, a set of questions, to be honest. And my last point, or rather, the one before the last, is, why is he breathed phrased in the passive voice? If the one who blows is God, and that's known, he will blow into the trumpet, or it's Israfil, whoever it is. You get the idea. So why is this action put in the passive voice? What's the reason for that? That was the real question here. Now, the last point. What does it mean? First, I want to show you, I copied and pasted here, how many times the story of blowing is repeated in the Quran. I did a quick little search, just a minute or two, because we've gone on for a while and we're about to wrap up. Here, look at how many times the topic of blowing is repeated in the verses of the Quran. The day the trumpet is blown, Al-Anaam, verse 73. The day the trumpet is blown, Ta'a, verse 102. The day the trumpet is blown, Anaba, verse 18. The day the trumpet is blown, Enamel, verse 87. All right, okay, and the trumpet will be blown, Al-Kaf, verse 99. And the trumpet will be blown, Kaf, verse 20. And the trumpet will be blown, Yasin, verse 51. And the trumpet will be blown, Az-Zumar, verse 68. All right, so that's 8 times. Now, pay attention to this. So, what is all this blowing? Where is it happening? In the trumpet. Just keep that in mind. All right, whether it's God blowing or Israfil blowing, here it says, so when the trumpet is blown, here's number 9, Al-Mu'minin, verse 101. So when the trumpet is blown, Al-Haqqa, verse 13. All of these, sometimes it says the trumpet is blown, sometimes then the trumpet will be blown, sometimes so when the trumpet is blown, 10 times in total. Blown into what? Into the trumpet. All right, now, let's look at another type of blowing. So when I have fashioned him and breathed into him of my spirit. Now God himself blowing this time, either directly or through Gabriel. In Al-Baqarah, when I have fashioned him and breathed into him of my spirit, fall down in prostration before him. No, my Lord, it's in Al-Hijr, verse 29. All right, fine, so when I have fashioned him and breathed into him of my spirit, fall down in prostration before him. Sa'd, verse 72. And Mary, daughter of Imran, who guarded her chastity, so we breathed into it our spirit. At Tarim 12. That's 3 times. The 4th, and she who guarded her chastity, so we breathed into her of our spirit. Al-Anbiya 91. Then he fashioned him and breathed into him of his spirit. As-Sajda 9. What is all this? So these last 5 times, it is God who is breathing, or Gabriel, considering he is the Spirit of God. All right, that's very nice. Now take the last one. Blow into him. Blow. Sorry. Blow into it and it becomes a bird by God's permission. That's in Al-Imran. Yeah, right. We saw that in Al-Imran when he told them to cut up the birds, put them on the mountain, and blow into them. They'll come to you running, and all these things are really beautiful. Al-Imran 49. So you blow into it, and it becomes a bird by my permission. Al-Ma'idah, and we cover that one too. Yeah, it's the same thing for Prophet Ibrahim as well. Exactly. 110. Very nice here. Actually, I want to tell you, this whole matter of blowing, what is it really about? It's a metaphor, because God doesn't actually blow. You see, it's figurative, because if God were to blow, that would mean he takes on a form, and that's not possible. And this is going to be the topic of our Friday episode today. So, after the verse, after the episode, around 8 p.m. Cairo time, 2 p.m. New York time, 8 p.m. Maghrib time, and 9 p.m. Iraq time. Anyway, God doesn't blow, folks. This blowing is just a metaphor. He doesn't blow into a horn or into a human being. It's a metaphor. I will give them to you too. I brought them because of the time, really. Because I know how much time is wasted on us. I will show them to you very quickly. Okay, I'm sorry. I really don't know. Time is passing me by very quickly. The important thing is that there are many metaphors in the Quran. The evidence is with you, sir. God's hand is above their hands. The opening. 10. So what do we have here? If we say that God breathes, what would we say to him then? Exactly. So, the face of your Lord, full of majesty and honor, that's also beautiful. If we say he breathes, then we'd have to say he has a face. And your Lord comes, and the angels in rows upon rows. So, your Lord comes. Do you get it? Comes means arrives, but God doesn't actually come or anything like that. All right, and they carry the throne of your Lord, the throne of your Lord. By the way, God doesn't have a throne. Then be warned of a war from God and his messenger. God doesn't wage war. Pay attention to this point. He doesn't fight with the messenger, nor does he fight without the messenger. It's all just a metaphor. Are they waiting for anything except that God comes to them? God doesn't come in this. And not just that. He won't just come, but in canopies of clouds, and the angels around him, clouds, and around the clouds, angels. God neither comes nor goes. All right. When Jesus, son of Mary, when God said, "O Jesus, son of Mary, I will take you and raise you to myself," to him, this means that God has a place where he will raise Jesus to him in that place. Of course, it doesn't work like that. When God raises something, like the mountain, Mount Sinai, over the Jews, we raise the mount over them. We cover that in the chapter of Anisa. If you remember well, God doesn't actually raise anything. All right, and God spoke to Moses directly, but God didn't actually speak to anyone either. That's the practical verse. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, what? That is, the issue of God blowing into the trumpet, or God blowing into Mary's private part, or she guarded her chastity and all of that talk. None of that actually happened. Because, keep in mind, Abraham also blew. He blew on the birds, and the birds came to him flying after he had cut off their heads and all that. He says, "O Lord, give me proof. I want to know your power," and all that stuff. Abraham was actually doubting his very existence, you see, because if you truly believe in God's existence, you wouldn't be questioning his power like that in the first place. And he says, "Show me how you give life to the dead." Give life to the dead? What are you talking about? You were already doubting that he even exists in the first place. Anyway, this whole idea of blowing and all that, it doesn't exist, just like the Quran itself says. It takes all those verses about Sayyam, sire, Jahannam, fire, and all that stuff. He says, "We do not send the signs except as a warning." So all that talk about sire, Jahannam, fire, and everything else, none of it is real. It's all just for intimidation. That's the idea. So, metaphor in the Quran is actually more prevalent than literal truth, just so you know, because it was necessary to speak to those people in their own language, in their own era, and according to their minds and way of thinking, nothing more, nothing less. But God never blows. And if he did blow, he would take on a form, and if he took on a form, he wouldn't be God. Thank you, and sorry for taking